You've been very involved in the administration's efforts to crack down on this Venezuelan gang, TDA, that has been designated as a terror group by the U.S. Do you accept the intelligence community's assessment that the Venezuelan gang is not a proxy force of the Maduro government? That was the National Intelligence Council assessment.
Yeah, that's their assessment. They're wrong. In fact, the FBI agrees with me that they are.
That's Secretary of State Marco Rubio having a calm, rational moment on CBS right before Margaret Brennan loses her mind because he refuses to blindly worship the intelligence community. Welcome to Nerk News, I'm Nerkish, and if you ever needed proof of just how fragile liberal narratives have become, look no further than Rubio's appearance on Face the Nation. Because he didn't shout or grandstand, he simply said what millions of Americans already know. These experts have been wrong before, and they'll be wrong again. And the fact that he wouldn't kiss the feet of her beloved National Intelligence Council sent Brennan into meltdown mode, because her whole career depends on running cover for these failed institutions. Here he is leaving her visibly rattled on live television.
But in fact, if you go back and see, a Trinidad Agua member, all the evidence is there and it's growing every day, was actually contracted to murder an opposition member, I believe in Chile, a few months ago. So one of the warnings out there by the FBI is not simply that Trinidad Agua are a terrorist organization, but one that has already been operationalized to murder an opposition member in another country.
But that's a different thing than being a proxy force controlled by the Maduro government. Part of this is at the heart of the legal arguments the administration is having over its ability to continue to deport suspected gang members. That's why this assessment is so key. You completely reject that intelligence community finding?
Yeah, I agree 100% with the FBI's finding. This is a prison gang that the Venezuelan government has actively encouraged to leave the country. A prison gang that in some cases they've been in cooperation. And by the way, Trinidad Agua members that have been returned to Venezuela on some of these planes that have gone back have been greeted like heroes at the airport. So we have no doubt, I have no doubt, and the FBI's made clear, I mean, this is the gang that they hired in order to murder an opposition member in another country. So there's no doubt in our mind and in my mind and in the FBI's assessment that this is a group that the regime in Venezuela uses not just to try to destabilize the United States, but to project power like they did by murdering a member of the opposition in Chile.
You know, Brennan acts like it's treason to question the experts, but these are the same intelligence elites who told us the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. 51 of them signed a letter, many tied to the same council that she's pretending is infallible, and they were dead wrong. No apologies, no accountability. So when Rubio calmly says, yeah, I don't just take their word for it, he's not being controversial, he's being honest. The intelligence community has been wrong on WMDs, wrong on the Afghanistan withdrawal, wrong on China, and a million other things. And now they want us to believe they're totally neutral when assessing criminal threats tied to mass illegal immigration. The worship of expertise is dying, and Brennan knows it. She's watching the narrative collapse in real time. Now watch what happens when she tries to pivot to the South African refugees and gets shut down again.
South Africa's president is traveling to the United States this week to meet with President Trump. The administration has prioritized bringing some white South Africans, Afrikaners, to the United States despite the increased restrictions on refugees. President Trump claims there's a genocide underway in South Africa. That's a legal determination. The State Department would make it. Are you trying to determine that now?
I will determine that these people are having their properties taken from them. They can call it whatever they want, but these are people that on the basis of their race are having their properties taken away from them and their lives being threatened and in some cases killed. These are people that applied and made these claims in their applications and seek to come to the United States in search of refuge. We've often been lectured by people all over the place about how the United States needs to continue to be a beacon for those who are oppressed abroad. Well, here's an example where we're doing that. So I don't understand why people are criticizing it. I think people should be celebrating it, and I think people should be supporting it.
Well, in fact, is there evidence of a genocide that you have?
They are in favor. I think there's evidence absolutely that people have been murdered, that people have been forcibly removed from their properties, both by the government in some cases because of a law they passed, but also because of independent groups encouraged by political parties inside of South Africa. So listen, to move here from half a world away and leave behind the only homeland you've ever known, that's not something people do lightly, especially people who have spent generations farming their land and developing their property. That's not something that you take lightly and do. These people are doing it for a reason. So we welcome them to the United States, and I think there may be more coming soon.
We will stand by to see if that determination of genocide is.
I mean, of course she pivots to emotional manipulation. She wants Rubio to say that these white South Africans have nothing to fear. But the truth is, this is exactly why people are done trusting these types of narratives. The Expropriation Act targets white landowners. Violent farm attacks are brushed off like they're nothing. And the political climate in South Africa is openly hostile to these people. But Brennan acts like it's no big deal. Yet pretend journalists like her have no issue assigning victim status to any and every group Democrats and their politically biased experts tell them to. I mean, these are the same experts who failed us on Afghanistan, the lockdowns, and Hunter Biden. And now they want us to believe these refugees aren't in real danger. Brennan's outrage isn't about truth, it's about control. And Rubio didn't flinch. He called it out calmly, directly, and she had nothing but her usual seething condescension and goofy faces. But let me know what you think. Did Marco Rubio just prove that trust in the intelligence community has all but vanished at this point? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. That stuff really does help us out. Until then, this has been Nerk News. Thanks for watching. Bye.